It's good, boys. We're back with another video today. You know, we're gonna be talking about what happened this past weekend, and I'm absolutely gutted. The entire community, the entire MMA community. If you have a heart, you're gutted from the result of UFC 317, the main event, and new Ilia Topuria, new lightweight champion of the world, knocks Charles Oliveira out in round one. You know, if you guys don't know, Charles is my favorite fighter. He's a lot of people's favorite fighter, but you know why he's people's favorite fighter. He's a great human being, great family man, great fighter, has an amazing background coming from a very difficult place in the world, from the favelas, made it to the UFC, got that championship belt, and he had a second chance at getting that belt back. Unfortunately, he fell short, got KO'd by Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is a generational talent. I picked Charles Oliveira. Obviously, I was going with my heart. I was praying that he would somehow pull this off. Deep down, I think everybody knew the challenge he had faced in front of him. I think he even knew the challenge he had faced in front of him. His family knew the challenge that was in front of him. Before he even walked in the octagon, his wife was crying. His kids were crying. It just felt like he had the world against him. It felt like he had everything against him, and it was a very tough task, and he fell a bit short. You know, he followed the game plan that we hoped that he would. He marched forward. He pressured Topuria. He put him on the back foot. He tried to make him uncomfortable, tried to inflict his damage, his pressure, his nonstop grinding pace, and it worked a little bit early on. It did. You know, he walked Topuria down off the get-go, high guard, marched him down, couple teeps down the middle. You know, he worked in some leg kicks, a couple here and there, but he didn't utilize the leg kick as much as he should have. But he did follow his normal game plan, Charles's game plan that he always follows, that he always tries to do, is just march you down, pressure you. And people were, they were judging his game plan, but this is Charles through and through. This is what he does. If that's not what he does, he would have completely looked like a different fighter. He could have played it safe. He could have been on the complete back foot and just popped that jab and waited for Topuria to close the distance. It was a matter of time before they would close the distance, and one of them would land that combo. And unfortunately, Topuria's hands, his power, his timing, it's really about the timing. That shot that he landed on Oliveira was perfect. It was picture perfect. 2-3 down the pipe, that big right hook, and then the left check hook, and completely flattened Charles Oliveira. It's just a moment where, like, you just need a second to realize that when it's your favorite fighter and they get KO'd brutally or slept brutally, it just hits different. There's moments where I'm sad that a fighter loses, but there's never a moment where I'm genuinely gutted that a fighter loses in, the fashion that Charles lost in. It's different seeing your favorite fighter lose by decision or by submission, or losing by brutal first round TKO where they're completely unconscious on the canvas. Seeing Oliveira unconscious on the canvas and seeing his family crying, and him saying and posting on Twitter, "I'm sorry guys that I fell short." Like, it's just sad. It's just like gut wrenching. It's heartbreaking. It's genuinely heartbreaking. Broke my heart. I'm gonna put the clip right now of basically my immediate reaction after he got KO'd. If you haven't seen it on my Instagram story, it broke my heart. I'm gonna put that right here.
This fucking guy.
That he's celebrating already this victory, but this is why.
No, no, oh man, no.
But all being said, I was tearing up. I was tearing up. I was getting excited. I was at my boy's house. I was getting excited. I was like, okay, Charles is walking him down. He's walking him down. He's putting the pressure on. He's doing what he does. He's doing what Charles does. And that power coming back from Ilia Topuria is just insane. Completely caught me off guard. Bop bop. It just felt like a second. And Charles was unconscious on the canvas, and I dropped to my knees. I dropped to my knees, and the amount of people that were at bars, were at clubs, whatever, were watching it watching the fight live. Like, I think everybody felt for Charles. Everybody loves Charles. If you don't love Charles, you're just not a fan of MMA. Michael Chandler said it best.
If you don't love Charles Oliveira, you can kick rocks.
If you don't like Charles, what are you doing, right? Like, this guy he's just a genuine soul. He's so nice. He's so caring. He's just a really, really good guy in the UFC that you can't hate. You just can't hate. And even Ilia Topuria said multiple times he had difficulty trying to build up hate, trying to build up a reason to want to knock out Charles Oliveira, a reason to really want to break him. But then he said every time he saw Charles with his family, his friends, his team, it's just, how can you hate the dude, right? So seeing Charles like that completely broke my heart, completely broke a lot of people's hearts. But I need a few days to get over it. I'm going to be honest, and I'm not completely over it. But these few days, I've thought the first day afterwards, Sunday, I was just crushed the entire day. I was like, there's no way I'm making a video. There's no way I'm talking about this right now. I didn't think I'd be so crushed. I didn't, I expected it to go further than a round, to be honest. And I just didn't expect the outcome that we were going to have. Of course, I had a feeling Topuria was going to drop Charles at some point, but completely flatline him the way he did. It just was brutal. It was devastating, and it was sad, to say the least. So I'm not completely over it, but after these past few days, I've been able to appreciate just how good Ilia Topuria is, and just realize that Charles is not over. His career is not over. This is just a generational talent he ran into. This is now pound for pound #1 king. Ilia Topuria has just moved up above Islam Makhachev and taken that pound for pound #1 spot, which I think he deserves. This guy's definitely in the GOAT conversation already. I mean, he's good. He's had the featherweight title. He's now got the lightweight title. And he might go get that welterweight title if he defends the belt a couple more times. The real question is, where does it end with Ilia Topuria? He's talked about not wanting to fight for too long. He wants longevity of life, being, spending time with his family. He wants to be in and out, get the belts, get all the credibility, get that championship, and get out unscathed. You know what I mean? And I can respect that, because a lot of guys stay on for too long and then they take too much damage, and then they end up just going on a 7-fight loss streak, 8-fight loss streak like Tony Ferguson, right? So I understand where Ilia Topuria is coming from. I do think he should get out as soon as possible, but the question is, where is his ceiling? This guy's already pound for pound #1. Is he going to go for that welterweight belt after he defends lightweight? The question is, who's going to be next? Paddy Pimblett came into the octagon. I don't know why the fuck we got Paddy Pimblett in the octagon. What are we doing, Joe Rogan? What are we doing? He calls Paddy Pimblett, out of the 3 options there, Armin, Justin, and Paddy were there, and he calls Paddy in. Number 8 ranked Paddy Pimblett. There is zero reason we should have Paddy versus Ilia next. Now, look, it's a good fight, but it's a fight where we need to see if Paddy even deserves it. I think it should be Paddy versus Justin, Armin versus Ilia. If you think differently, you're retarded. That's all I have to tell you, because it makes no sense. Armin's still ranked #1. Just give him that Ilia fight, man. He's going to be the toughest test. If Justin fights Ilia, he's going to get flatlined. Now, you can't do MMA math, but Holloway flatline Gaethje, and Ilia flatline Holloway. There's levels of MMA math you can do, but this is MMA math that is clear cut, stone. It's just not even, you can't get around it. You can't try to avoid this. The fact that Justin got completely flatlined by Holloway. Could you imagine what Ilia would do? Ilia would flatline Justin Gaethje brutally. He said that he wants to fight Gaethje. Gaethje said that he wants to fight for the belt. But I don't think Gaethje wants that smoke. I don't think Gaethje should end his career by getting flatlined by Ilia Topuria. I think you should do Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett in a couple months, maybe a few months, September or so. And then you do Ilia Topuria versus Armin Tsarukyan, closer to the end of the year, maybe November, December. And there you go. There you got it, But Ilia Topuria, absolutely shocking what he did to Charles Oliveira. Broke my heart. Broke a lot of fans' hearts. I think it might be one of the most brutal, sad losses that I've ever witnessed as an MMA fan. And, I'm not going to pretend like I've been an MMA fan for 10, 20 years. I haven't been watching MMA for as long as maybe some of you guys have. And I'm not a casual, but I have only been following MMA for 2-3 years now, and it's got to be the worst loss, the worst pain I felt after a loss of an MMA fighter, of a UFC fighter, my fan favorite, my favorite fighter of all time. I mean, this guy's literally my background. It's hard to put into perspective how you feel when you have a loss like that, where it's like, people are like, why do you care so much, But it's a matter of, this is the guy that you really care about as a fighter. This is a guy that you watch all his videos, you follow him along, you've been following him for years, and you want him to get the belt back. You want him to relive that gold again. And He falls short, but not even just short by decision or by submission. It's just brutal KO where you've never seen Charles in that position. You've never seen him laying on the canvas, literally completely unconscious. Even against Islam, he wasn't unconscious on the canvas, but against Ilia, he was unconscious on the canvas, and it was just a sad moment. And I think everybody can admit it was a sad moment, but it's time to accept the fact that Ilia is he's Thanos. You know, he's just collected 3 rings. He's just collected 3 rings of legacy. Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and now Charles Oliveira. 3 in a row. What will he do next? We will see, boys. But I just wanted to come back, make this video. It was really difficult. I thought about making it the day after, but I was just like, I don't really want to talk about it. I'm not going to lie. And every time I go on Instagram, all I saw at least the past couple days was just Charles Oliveira getting knocked out, Charles Oliveira getting knocked out. And I was like, I just need to try to stay off social media. I posted a little bit on my story and a couple posts here and there on Instagram, but I just tried to stay off scrolling. I was like, I can't keep reliving this, man. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop it down in the comments. Do you guys think Ilia Topuria is unstoppable? Is he Thanos? You know, like at this point, I don't even know what to say, but I'm glad it's over at least with Charles. I don't want to see that happen again, and I know he'll bounce back better than ever. I'll catch you boys in the next one. See you.